Welcome to the vibrant world of the brand new So Ionic Botanicals website. Are you ready to take your health to the next level with us? If so, let's dive in and explore our exciting new website together. First, let me introduce you to our premier product, Nessuit Nectar Stingless Bee Honey. With raving reviews and testimonials, which you can watch right here, Nessuit Nectar is a must-try item in our collection. Next, unlock the ancient wisdom of nature with our sacred herbs, a unique collection of rare, powerful herbs sourced from the heart of Honduras and Mexico and designed to elevate your wellness journey. Scroll down to the bottom of this page to find our social media links. Make sure to follow us on all platforms to stay updated on our latest products and special offers. Now, let's head over to the product page. Click on products to unveil hidden treasures like beefy tea, a bitter crafted from over 10 indigenous Honduran herbs. Once you've made your selections, hop over to the cart and finalize your purchase to bring the best of nature into your life. Don't forget to check out our media page. This is where you can subscribe to our Patreon and YouTube for exclusive content on various health topics. Curious about the brains behind So Ionic Botanicals? Head to the About page to meet our founder, KT the Arch Degree, and discover the passion driving our mission. Got questions or just want to say hello? Our contact page is just a click away. Reach out to us with any inquiries and we'll be more than happy to assist you. We are thrilled to have you here with us, and we sincerely appreciate your support and business. Thank you for choosing So Ionic Botanicals, and we look forward to helping you see the world more clearly.
Are you ready to transform your financial future? The Cryptocurrency Wealth Blueprint is back, and it's bigger than ever, featuring the Chicago Blockchain Bully. This exclusive online event will take place on Saturday, December 21st, 2024. Learn how to earn massive money from meme coins and seize opportunities others miss. Discover the best coins to buy as we enter the upcoming bull market, positioning yourself for massive gains. Dive into the world of blockchain land buying. Get your piece of the future before it's too late. Explore sovereign financing and secure your wealth with unprecedented independence. Get the inside scoop on the redirection of XRP and how this shift can boost your portfolio. How will the Trump presidency impact the crypto market? Get the insights you need to make informed decisions. Prepare to make money during the massive altcoin season ahead. Timing is everything. This event includes a 6-hour online course with lifetime access. Learn at your own pace and always stay ahead. Seats are limited. Secure your access today and take the first step toward your crypto wealth journey. The future is waiting. The 2025 Cryptocurrency Wealth Blueprint, featuring the Chicago Blockchain Bully. Saturday, December 21st, 2024. Are you ready?
All right. Without further ado, it's time to start this show. Want to welcome back to the platform, back to the stage, RFG, the chosen one, man. Welcome back, brother. Welcome back.
I appreciate you having me on. Greetings, everyone.
Yeah, indeed. Love when you come on, brother. You drop so many jewels. That last show we did with you, Rod Hayes, and who else was there? And B-Dell, I think. That was fire, man. That one was super fire. Just make sure you don't use any censored words, because remember they took that video before us. Remember? You know
they were sitting back waiting for that.
Yeah, man. So just let's keep this one because this is gonna be a good one. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We're about to get this thing started. Got RFG, the chosen one. Make sure you'll share this with your friends and family. This is some good material. Also, I want to let you know before we start tomorrow. I just mentioned to brother Rod Hayes. He will be live tomorrow night with Seven Bomar. Seven Bomar and Rod Hayes will be live tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. It is going to be absolutely fire, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure y'all tune in for that. Tell your friends and family. But listen, man, let's get to where's this at? Always start out with your Instagram post, my brother. I appreciate. Then let me put this on the screen, family. A lot of talk been going on. A lot of talk about these drones, family. Let me put this up. A lot of talk about these drones. I haven't really had time to pay attention like that, family. I know I just had my daughter and I've been out the loop a little bit with a lot of things, but I've been hearing all the talk about the drones and stuff. And y'all know I try to connect with a brother like RFG to find out what's going on. But let me read this to y'all, what the brother posted. We're gonna get into this conversation. First, they must stage a hostile invasion takeover of the U.S. and blame it on Iran, Russia, or China. World War III will officially be declared after the foreign nation invasion PSYOP is completed. World War III must take place for at least 1 year before Project Blue Beam, parentheses, stage alien invasion takes full effect. This will all lead up to every nation merging together to form one global nation, which will be followed up by the implementation of one global digital currency system. An unidentified drone must belong to the U.S. or a foreign nation because extraterrestrials use highly advanced interstellar crafts, not drones. The unidentified drones over the U.S. reminds me of the drone scene in the film Olympus Has Fallen. By the way, it's basically impossible for the U.S. military not to be able to identify these drones. So they're definitely aware of the drones. Then under the comment, we got a lot of people that absolutely love Trump. Trump is like a cult. The people that support Trump's cult. Let me just read you what he said in a comment. You might get hurt by this. Under Trump's first term, the major spike with economic inflation took place in 2017. Spring of 2017, Trump orders the bombing of Syrian rebels for no logical reason. Number 3, the 1-month government shutdown of January 2019. 4, January 2020, Trump orders the assassination of Iranian General Soleimani. 5, the started, what I'm talking about, I ain't gonna say the name, started in March of 2020. If Trump is this savior figure, how could all of these events take place under his term? With that being said, let's get started. So much talk, my brother, about these drones being because the alien talk, there's more alien talk right now than I've ever heard in my entire life. So that's like in the mainstream media right now, this whole alien extraterrestrials thing. So what's the deal with these drones? I'm hearing about UFO sightings all over the goddamn planet right now, my brother. Let me know what's going down with the drones. Where the real ones at, and where the fake ones at, my brother. And I'm gonna let you take it over from there.
When this situation first transpired, I was kind of confused at first because I heard everybody saying UFO, UFO, UFO. But every time I looked at what the mainstream was putting on their screens, it was just drones. And I'm like, where's the UFOs? I'm like, what's going on? All I see is drones. And then I'm hearing that Patterson base in Ohio shut down for 4 hours, and an actual airport in New York shut down. And I'm thinking to myself, why would they do that over drones that they say are not a threat? So I was confused for 2 to 3 days straight. I was confused, and but eventually I saw a video on YouTube from a guy. His channel is named Casper Sight, and the title of the video is "Plasmoid Orbs Take Down New Jersey Drones." So this is what the mainstream, is not showing us. I saw two different videos. In this video that I just stated, one showed an orb over New Jersey shooting down a drone, and then the other video clip this guy showed was a orb over Phoenix, Arizona, shooting down a drone with some form of highly advanced technology. And for everybody who wants to see that, you can just put in plasmoid orbs take down New Jersey drones, and then put in Casper Sight on YouTube, and fast forward the video to about 22 minutes, and you'll see it. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, so this is a staged Project Bluebeam operation. Because at first I thought it was just a operation to as a training, as like a training mechanism for them to be prepared for, the staged foreign military invasion of the United States. Because all I was seeing was the drones. I had no clue about, the light orbs and the UFOs being involved in this until I found this video on YouTube. But when I saw that, now I can confirm that, it's definitely something pertaining to like Project Bluebeam and them trying to, test run different scenarios. Now, when we think about things in a broader perspective, I don't think a super intelligent, highly sophisticated extraterrestrial is going to be concerned about a drone. You see what I'm saying? If you go to a different planet, you're going to be observing the ecosystem, the life forms, and then you're going to see if the planet has some form of a resource. So, I really, I think that if that was a real extraterrestrial, the last thing that an extraterrestrial would do is feel threatened by a drone. Bullets, are very primitive compared to real UFO technology. So like I said, the last thing a UFO would feel threatened by is a drone. So why would the UFO shoot the drone down? Because this is obviously a test run. And when we do the research, we see that the US government denied knowing the origins of these drones. But when I look online, it says that every drone has an ID tag. All right. All drones, including recreational and professional drones, must have identification plates that are flame retardant. I think this word is indelible, placed in a legible and easily accessible area. And the tag must contain the drone's type, model, serial number, the pilot's name, and the owner's contact details. So if that's the law pertaining to everybody who owns a drone, all right, how can it be possible for the US government not to be able to identify the origins of these drones? So, that's why when they said that and they denied knowing about it, I knew automatically that was false. And, they were trying to cover something up. And what they're trying to cover up is that, that Project Bluebeam test run that took place.
Any reason why the drones will be in New Jersey specifically?
New Jersey is it's a very, this isn't a real word or this isn't a real adjective, but New Jersey is a very hyper-dimensional area in North America. I believe they have a secret underground military base there. And then when you look at all of the thousands of reports of not only Bigfoot, but the New Jersey Devil, which they say is an interdimensional being, regular UFO sightings, there are many things that go bump in the night in New Jersey. And, that the mainstream does not touch on a regular basis. So that could have something to do with it. And then we know that Arizona, you have the Sedona Vortex, you have the Grand Canyon, you have an ancient indigenous civilization that is basically buried under the Grand Canyon, which is a very high frequency vortex. And then you have the underground military bases there in Arizona. So, that could play a role in the UFO that shot down the drone over Arizona.
Right. Let me ask you this, RFG. Who do you think? All right, we in the US, we're we get the US media for the most part. We hear what they say on the media, but there's a whole world out there, and everybody's media for the most part is talking about somewhat different things. What nation do you think takes this UFO talk the most serious? who do you think knows what's going on out of everybody? Like what, or not even a nation, a group, or organization, society. Who do you think is the leader when it comes to UFO information?
I believe it has to be either the United States or Russia.
Either, okay. Why you say Russia? U.S. or Russia? We got China, we got India. India's trying to go to. Why would you say those two?
Well, India's up there too. India's up there too. But Russia, they've had their own events where they've dealt with situations pertaining to crashed UFO sites, and they were able to get their hands on a lot of reverse engineered Nazi technology that that Adolf and his followers were reverse engineering.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about? Do you think Germany is still interested in UFO type information? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Germany, Russia, now of course Ukraine, but the United States, China, North Korea, and India, because India and Pakistan were able to create nuclear technology and nuclear weapons, and I stated this about, I want to say 2.5 years ago. There were many different situations where UFO crafts were actually recorded dismantling and deactivating nuclear devices, in different countries. So many of these countries are not even able to use the nuclear weapon anymore.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. In your Instagram post, you said that the situation with the drones in New Jersey reminded you of the movie Olympus Has Fallen. Why did you say that? What did you see in the movie that maybe might give us a clue as to what's going on?
I stated that because of the whole the whole dynamic of being breached, having your territory breached without being aware of it, without having any signs of it. This literally representing the fall of the world that we once knew. Because after the C word in 2020, everything changed. And, Project Bluebeam is going to be carried out in a very similar manner as far as the mind control manipulation tactics to take more rights away from the people. So, they're very similar circumstances, and the Olympus Has Fallen, that situation with the drones, I think that's very accurate. It's very accurate because when you talk about human to human warfare, the first thing that people do is they try to get intel. They have to get intel from the enemy to know the strong suits and weaknesses, before they make their move. So the drone thing, I believe, is very significant, as well as the nuclear scare. We can't say, actual nuclear weapons anymore. I believe they're only going to use the nuclear thing for scare tactics.
Mm-hmm. We always hear the stories about President Eisenhower. I believe it was President Eisenhower making a deal with extraterrestrials, and if they are returning and they are in our atmosphere, do you think they are tied in with Trump some way somehow, and that's why he seems pretty confident and not worried when he talks about the drones or when he talks about space or anything like that? He seems to have a inner knowing that maybe we don't know. Do you think he's connected with some form of extraterrestrials?
When we speak about the UFO, most presidents are not really informed about all of the dealings of the black budget government in order to in order to receive that information, you have to have something that's called a security clearance. And there's different grades to the security clearances, but I believe he is aware. I don't think that he was told like, person to person, but I think he's connected. I think that, I don't think, he's done a lot of questionable things, but I don't think he's like super low IQ. You see what I'm saying? He may be arrogant, narcissistic, and prideful, but I'm pretty sure he is aware of, the Black Budget program. So, and it's interesting because he was interviewed and he actually said something that's very similar to what I stated in that post. He said that there's no way that the military couldn't identify the drones.
Right. No, facts. Definitely. When it comes to the drones, so when you say, let me see if I go back. I don't want to misquote you. I do not want to misquote the brother. When you say the World War III must take place, when you talk about one global digital currency system, I want to ask you real quick about cryptocurrency, because I never asked you about cryptocurrency. What's your thoughts on it? I never asked your opinion about cryptocurrency and moving forward with, is it a good thing, bad thing? I done made money from it. I hear people say, some say it's good, some say it's bad. What's your thoughts on the whole crypto thing, brother?
When I first learned about it in 2017, my first reaction was that, I didn't see anything beneficial in it at all. But, as time went on, especially after 2020, I actually started to looking into that a lot more. And I noticed that, there was not only Bitcoin, there was XRP, and then now you have Ethereum, and, there's many different other, cryptocurrencies that are unknown right now. And it's actually a lucrative avenue and a lucrative opportunity to make untaxed revenue, and I believe it's actually safer to put your finances in a crypto account compared to one of the major banks, like, your JP Morgan Chase, your US Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank. Those branches are part of the system that wants to make money off of your money. They want to make money off of your money, and they have all these penalties and all these withdrawal restrictions and all these restrictions, limitations, and fees that they come with. And while they're making money off of your money just sitting in the bank, and most of those organizations are corrupt anyway. JP Morgan got caught shipping in tons of cocaine to the eastern coast of the United States back in early 2019. You see what I'm saying? So I would definitely, I would suggest for people to look into different cryptocurrencies. Keep a portion of your finances there. Keep a portion of your finances in an offshore bank. Then maybe have like a backup PayPal. And then you want to start investing in hard gold and silver, because eventually they're going to get rid of the cryptos. So, we can't stay too dependent on that. So, they're going to get rid of that, right? Because that opens up too many opportunities, and they're going to implement a global digital currency. And the only way we're going to be able to access that is if we have a bio microchip put in us. That's their plan. That comes out of the mouths of the Rothschilds themselves. So in order to prepare for that, we have to acquire every resource necessary to survive and to sustain ourselves without having to accept the global digital currency, which they will make mandatory. So those resources is land, having a water well on your land, growing your own food on your land, creating an irrigation system from the well on your land, investing in every piece of material you need to survive on your own. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. We have to be able to maintain our existence without the help of the corporate world.
Right. We always hear about, everybody who talks about, the whole Anunnaki thing. And they always talk about them using gold, to power their ships, or they needing the gold here on Earth. Do you think it's possible? Because, just talking about there's so many conspiracies, quote unquote conspiracies. Do you think cryptocurrency, they call it digital gold, do you think it's possible that cryptocurrency is to get us away from traditional gold into digital gold, so that maybe they could take back over the traditional gold, because we're not focused on it no more and we're all focused on this quote unquote digital gold?
That's very possible. That's very, very possible. They're trying to digitize everything. They're trying to digitize the whole human experience on Earth. And that's why, we have to go back to see, they want the new world order. Our mission should be erecting the old world order. You see what I'm saying? So while they want us focused on everything digital and all these optical illusions and all these holograms and all this AI, we need to be investing in hard assets, the gold, the physical silver, the crystals, the land, the water wells, getting back to growing your own food. Because, from me observing everything that took place during Trump's first term, if that repeats itself, there could be a high possibility of us experiencing an economic crash. You see what I'm saying? Inflation is already at record levels. You see what I'm saying? So we have to be prepared for anything at this point. And you don't want to be one of those people who are caught up in the crowd of people that are fighting over resources, that are killing each other over resources. We want to be proactive. We don't want to be reactive.
Indeed. No, definitely. I want to, what's weird? What do you think about, with all the talk about, UFOs and extraterrestrials? One thing I noticed is that the top people, and I want to ask this question specifically to you, because I've talked with you about the possibility of reptilians and shapeshifters and all that, but it's just weird to me that the top tech people always look like reptilians or some shit like that. if you look at like the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Like, he does not look human at all. When you look at Mark Zuckerberg has that look sometime, like he's just like he's not like he doesn't quite understand how to completely be human. And especially Elon Musk, he got that look as well. So it's like these top tech guys, they always have like this alien. Even Nikola Tesla had a certain look to him. Why do the top tech guys always got this weird non-human look to them?
Well, in order to get in the position that they're in, you can't do that without conforming to the global Freemasonic agenda in some form or fashion. For instance, I didn't know who Elon Musk was. I didn't know that Elon Musk existed in 2016. And all of a sudden, in late 2017, I'm hearing about him for the first time, and I learned about SpaceX, and I see his net worth, and this dude is, worth tens of billions. And in 2016 and back, I never ever heard of the Elon Musk. So somebody literally coming out of nowhere and rising to literal global riches, global fame, and global power. Somebody rising to that in such little time, that definitely raises an alarm bell in my head. All right, just for starters.
Well,
but don't be surprised if if somebody comes out with some research and finds that Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and the rest of these multi-billionaires and trillionaires are all related. Because remember, the richest people on the earth are all part of the same bloodline. They're the so-called 13 royal families. They're all related anyway. And if you're not related to them by blood, or if you don't conduct the right rituals to be accepted into their fraternity, then you're not getting in. You're going to be considered a useless eater in their eyes. And that mindset in general, I believe, is not human.
We're changing paradigms. We're going from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. One of the themes that dominated the last age was religion. One of the themes that's kind of taken over right now is New Age information, and you can see New Age and religion kind of conflicting with each other. One of the terms that was used during the religion era, during the age of Pisces, was people being possessed by the devil. We heard that a lot. People being possessed by the devil, possessed by the devil. Do you think in this new paradigm, the age of Aquarius, we will hear the term people being possessed by extraterrestrials in place of people being possessed by the devil?
Well, I mean, I believe it's all about perspective. Because
okay.
I mean, you have certain people that have weak auras, right, that have a very weak willpower, and it's easier for them to get taken over by outside entities. And then you have certain people that have powerful energy, powerful auras, and they are able to allow certain entities to come in them to give them more energy or to give them a certain amount of knowledge.
Right. Gotcha.
So, in some situations, it may be more positive to invoke certain spirits. And in some cases, like you said, there does come times where people do get possessed by demons. But we have to be able to use discernment and know what is what. But I believe that the whole extraterrestrial thing, it will become more acceptable. You will see pastors that are part of churches, that are part of a 501c3. You will see them come out, start talking about extraterrestrials, and as well as the Pope, because that is going to be part of their New World Order, religion. They're actually gonna come out and start speaking about the beings that live in these underground bases and the beings that are giving our government the advanced technology and their whole capitalist system. They're gonna tell it all. And because, like you said, that ties back to the age of Aquarius. See, Pisces is all about the mist, things that are foggy, things that are not very clear, living your life through belief and not real knowledge. You see what I'm saying? That's tied to Piscean energy, but we're coming out of that. So that energy is going to be personified by, or it's going to be amplified by the government right? And they're going because they're going to make it well known of who their masters are, who they are. And many people, I don't think too many people even really care like that, because look at all of these people who still support individuals who are known, evil dictators, just vile human beings. You know what I'm saying? They won't care if they find out they're being controlled by reptoids and insectoids. Mm. They're out here praising the P word, but murderers, thieves, liars. You know what I'm saying? Plagiarizers. They're out here supporting the worst in the name of idol worship. So I don't think that them being told their real masters are reptoids, I don't really think that's really going to affect them like that.
No, indeed. And when, obviously the extraterrestrial talk, the way with the information on the internet, everybody immediately thinks about Anunnaki, because there's so many videos on that right now. And we heard, as I said earlier, we heard about the mining for gold and how important the gold was in them mining for gold. But I never heard stories about the extraterrestrials mining for melanin. Now, the reason why I bring up melanin is because some teachers say that a spaceship has to be cloaked with melanin just to make it outside of the Van Allen belt. So if melanin is this important substance that absorbs all this energy and transforms it and does this and does that, why I never heard about aliens mine? If I'm an alien, I might want melanin more than I might want gold. So why I never heard about aliens mining for melanin like I have for gold?
That's because the so-called aliens that seeded life on this planet, they are heavily melanated beings. Ooh. They are heavily carbonated beings.
Ooh, okay. You got me there. Got me there. Ooh. Okay.
And even the situation in Zimbabwe at that elementary school in the mid 90s.
Right.
The children said they saw the gray, and then they saw a tall, dark-skinned being with dreadlocks next to the gray. And from what they were saying, they were sharing the same UFO. Mm-hmm. And there were individuals. I'm trying to figure out what organization that they were from. But I think the individual was an abductee. He was an actual UFO abductee. And he was saying that the beings that got out of the craft that abducted him were tall, dark-skinned beings, hairless, kind of slim, hook heads. And, they've also made connections with aliens to melanated people and certain Hollywood films, like the movie Signs that came out in the early 2000s. When you look at the way that extraterrestrial was moving, the way its body was built, and the fact that the extraterrestrial was speaking through a chirping language, that's Melanin, because Melanin, there's no vowels. So there's a deep connection between the gods who seeded life on this earth, to the melanin, because they themselves are heavily melanated beings.
Do you think we would, we always talk about our lack of contact with extraterrestrials. Do you think, like you mentioned Melanin, do you think if we tap back into some of the ancient language like Hebrew, Latin, Melanin, do you think this makes alien encounters and what's that called, disclosure, more possible? And the English language is kind of like it's blocking us from our connection to other beings across the galaxy, because they say the stars, they say Hebrew come from the stars. Like they look at the constellation and they made like this fire language called Hebrew. So if we use a constellation language, do you think it will make it way more easy for the melanated man and woman to communicate with these extraterrestrials instead of English?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The English is indeed the most backwards, bastardized language on the earth, because you have so many words in the language that have double meaning, that have the double meanings, like the same words, but are used for different meanings, and that doesn't resonate with the universe. You see what I'm saying? The universe is all about, vibration, matching vibrations. So like when you deal with the one word that has multiple meanings, in certain circumstances, the universe is not gonna know how to receive that. So for instance, if somebody dies and you feel bad, and now you're saying you're mourning, the universe is taking that as, this entity is at a very low frequency because something tragic happened. And then, when the sun rises in the morning, you see what I'm saying? We call that morning, and somebody will go up to a person during that time and say, good morning, expecting that to be positive. See what I'm saying? But to the universe, morning is morning. It all goes back to what the original etymology of the word, and what it's being used for, mostly. And when it comes to English, that's why they came up with the idea called cursive. You see what I'm saying? I have never in all my life seen anybody from a different culture write their language in cursive. The only language that I've seen somebody write cursive in is English. So they're telling us right there that that language is cursed.
That is a very interesting point. I never thought about that. And I think about all types of questions, but I never thought about it. That's a great point. So, wait, give me a second. So, do you think because we're trying to figure out how to communicate with not just extraterrestrials, but the universe, God, the quantum field, whatever you want to call it, these things. You think etymology is more important than intention, or is intention more important than etymology? So I'll give you an example. If I say good morning and my intention is for you to have a prosperous day, that might be my intention. But also saying good morning, the etymology of morning might be something negative. So what do you think has a higher register with the universe, the intention or the etymology of when that actual word was created, the sacred geometry of that word?
That's a very good question, and I believe it's I won't say it's equal. I'll say that the etymology aspect is a little bit more powerful. Because when we use critical thinking, we have to ask ourselves, why did the creators of the English language go through all of those nights, all of those weeks, all of those months, all of those years, just to create the most backwards, bastardized language in the world? Why go through the effort? See what I'm saying? So when I think about it like that, it makes me think that they intentionally wanted to keep a certain people's frequency on a low level. They intentionally wanted a specific people to maintain a low level of thinking, a low level of existence, and a low level of communication.
Indeed. Let me ask you this: with all this conversation and this talk, have you ever seen Body Divine says Arabic and Sanskrit are also powerful, elevated languages. Yeah, Sanskrit. I want to learn more about Sanskrit. I definitely do. Definitely.
Okay.
But RFG, have you ever seen my brother? Have you ever seen a UFO or had an encounter with an extraterrestrial, my brother?
I have seen a UFO craft over the skies of Las Vegas 3 separate times.
Wow.
One was in, I want to say, it was on Miller Street. So you can, I have a photographic memory. So there's an area of Las Vegas called the Vegas Heights. And there's a street called Miller Street inside of the Las Vegas Heights. And on that street, I remember in my grandma's backyard, I saw a UFO over the north side of the mountains in Vegas. And that was, I want to say I was in between 5 and 6 years old. The second time, I was leaving one of my cousin's football games in 2007, and I was in the car with my aunt, and we were going south on a freeway, and I looked out of the left side, which was her window, because I was in the passenger seat. So her window, I'm looking out the left side, and she saw it too. And we saw on the east side of the sky, it looked like these this chain of orbs. It was this chain of orbs that looked like a worm, and it was going like this, like an S motion throughout the sky. And it was on the eastern side of the Vegas sky in fall of 2007. And then the third one was when I was in Arizona, and I remember the actual date of that. That was September 17th, 2011. And it was at a Mesa Community College football game. And that was a triangle-shaped UFO craft. Now, this, I believe, to me, this was the scariest. This was the scariest because that's the closest I've ever come to those particular crafts. And this craft could literally change its color to match its environment. So at first, nobody noticed it. And then it showed itself like among these trees that was behind the goalpost near the football field. So, it went from showing itself for a few seconds, and then it went to camouflage mode again. Then it showed itself again, and then that's when people said, "Look, there it is." And then it started to ascend straight up, and it got further and further away. But when that happened, the whole football game stopped, and everybody was looking at that craft. The players stopped playing and looked at it.
Wow. Wow. This is interesting. I always love hearing stories about brothers and sisters talking about their experiences with UFOs, because for so many years, family, we have been taught that it's not a black thing. So it's always good to hear it, to let you know that we've been lied to, and a lot of people just didn't come forward with their stories about UFOs and things like that. So let me ask you this now. I want to get to a couple of questions from the people in the audience, and shout out to everybody. We got about 2,500 people in here. Shout out to all of y'all. Let me write something down before I forget. Shout out to all of y'all. Real quick announcement. Tomorrow I will be live at 9 with Rod Hayes at 7 Beaumont. I want y'all to know, because it's going to be a super duper powerful show. These are two giants collaborating on a show tomorrow, 7 Beaumont and Rod Hayes. So I want to make sure all of y'all are there for the show at 9 tomorrow night at 9. And Raul Nefer Amen will be on Friday night. So we got Rod Hayes at 7 Beaumont tomorrow, and Raul Nefer Amen, the legend, on Friday. All right, with that being said, RFG. So we talk about drones, UFOs, we anti-gravity and all this. We're thinking about absolutely amazing technology that we have not yet discovered. Just thinking about the computers we use, or the technology that we use, even our phones. One of the things that we use to access our technology now, for our technology to recognize who the owner is we use our fingerprint. We all have a distinct fingerprint, and we put our fingerprint on our technology to unlock it. Do you think if we are the ancient Atlanteans, from ancient Kemet, ancient Babylonians, and this and that, when we go to these sites, RFG, Do you think if we lay our hands on it, we can activate these ancient technology pyramids or whatever, or monuments or whatever it is? Because the same way we activate this with our fingerprint, do you think we also could activate the technology of the fingerprints when the real owners go back to, not the fake ones, but when the real owners go back to the pyramids? Can we activate them with our fingerprints? Is that part of the technology part, my brother?
So you're saying that would we be able to use our fingerprints to activate technology in the pyramids?
Yeah, like and when I say activated, like we may lay our hands on a Great Pyramid or something like that and immediately get downloads or immediately be told things that wasn't revealed to nobody else because the real owner,
absolutely,
the true owner came back over there. Just like with our phone,
absolutely.
the real owner comes to this phone right here. The phone shows me all types of data and information. So do you think that does it work? Yeah, okay. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, that depends on how long our soul has been here, in this particular realm, how many incarnations we've actually experienced in this realm. It also, pertains to things like our blood lineage, and the level of neuromelanin in our blood. It also, depends on what we did in the past life or the past lives. You see what I'm saying? All of that, is a weighing factor in the amount of light codes that we're even able to receive. So, there's been people who have went to the pyramids of Giza, people who have went to places like South Africa, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, Peru, places all over the world where people come into contact with high frequency locations where, there are Stargate portals and people receive such high amounts of light codes where their lives are changed forever and their outlooks on life changes forever. There's numerous different occasions where that takes place. Sedona vortex in Arizona is pretty much the same way. That's why I constantly encourage, especially, so-called Black Americans to, if you get a chance, go down to Sedona, Arizona. If you're a melanated being, that's only going to help raise your frequency. That's why they closed off what 97% of the Grand Canyon. See what I'm saying? That's for a reason, people.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hey, is this true? I hear somebody in the chat said they got shorts, like YouTube shorts of the Jersey drones changing the radios in cars. Is that true?
The only video that I saw, the drone got knocked, like it got hit by some kind of laser technology, and it went down immediately. And that was there was one in Phoenix and there was one in New Jersey.
Got you.
The one in Phoenix happened December 14th.
Okay. But okay, yeah, I gotta look into that radio thing, family. I haven't heard about that either. If y'all know anything more about that, definitely let me know. Give me some. Shout out to Red Pill is in the audience. Red Pill said they're turning on dead batteries in cars. Oh shit. Oh man, I gotta look into that. This sounded wild now, y'all.
I haven't heard of that, but if you guys have the links to that information, DM it to me on Instagram.
Yeah, this is sounding wow. Oh man. All right, yeah, I gotta look into that. Give me some questions. We about to hit the hour mark. I'm not going to be in here too much longer, but I want to get some questions from the family. Put some questions in the chat. Yo, RFG, you know what I got to do? I finally found out what time I was born. I got to get a reading from you. I got what you do the Vedic readings?
I could do Vedic or Western.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I gotta get one of them readings from you, man. I finally found out, man. So I heard you the man with that. So I wanna I gotta get one done. Before we continue with the questions, tell the people how they could get a reading, get their charts reading from you.
You can DM me on Instagram. The Instagram is RFG _chosen one, the number one. And I need your first name, your full date of birth, the time of day that you were born, and then your location of birth. And then, after everything is confirmed and, you have your scheduled reading set, it takes me about an hour, but I break down all 12 houses and each planetary placement. I also break down certain conjunctions. If you have any powerful trines, your north node and your south node, your rising sign and your descendant sign, where your personal planets are at, where your generational planets are at. I break all that down.
Indeed. Yeah, definitely highlight this. Did you give your website? You told them I didn't.
Yeah. The Instagram.
Okay, the Instagram. All right, yeah. Hit up the brother's Instagram. All right, let's get to some questions from the people in the chat. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody who got their tickets for the cryptocurrency workshop happening this Saturday. Also, it's going to be an all-day thing, family. Make sure you get your tickets for that. I want to get to this question. Somebody asked this a while ago. Ask him about Ezekiel's will and mothership, please. What's your thoughts, brother?
Ezekiel's will. That could be interpreted two different ways, I believe. Some people believe it could be depicting a UFO craft. Ezekiel's will could symbolize a much larger cosmic will pertaining to the galaxy, pertaining to the zodiac, the zodiac will. I believe it's either depiction of a UFO or the zodiac will.
Indeed. Okay. Somebody says, let me get to where's this at? Can you ask him his thoughts about the 5 portals the Pope is opening on Christmas Eve? Car lights and street lights were blinking off and on. Thank you. Yeah, I know B-Dell had mentioned something about that. I haven't seen B-Dell's video, so I know a lot of people are saying this based off what B-Dell said. So yeah, have you heard anything about that yet, RFG?
What city was this taking place in?
Yeah, I don't know anything else about that. I just know B-Dell was talking about the Pope opening up 4 portals on Christmas Eve, but I didn't.
Okay. Oh well, man. They do that. Every winter solstice, summer solstice, and then the 2 equinoxes. They open up the portals with that CERN program and their ritual sacrifices.
Right. So the solstice is do you do any rituals around the solstice?
I may go through a period of fasting. But as far as like rituals, the only ritual I would get involved with is a protection ritual.
All right. Let's get to the next. Somebody said, what about the aliens coming out the ocean? What's your thoughts on that, brother?
I believe they've been there for thousands of years. Most of the oceans have not been discovered by any known government. Most UFO sightings are actually USO sightings, USO, which means unidentified submerged object. They have whole books, TV shows, and movies based on unidentified submerged objects. One of the first voyagers that came to this earth thousands of years ago were the nomos. And the nomos are aquatic and amphibious beings. I believe they came to this earth in their UFO crafts, and they literally descended into the oceans and created their own civilization underwater. Mm-hmm. And there were actual video games made off of this theology as well. And when you look at that, you look at that and you look at the fact that, we have people like Master Naba of the Dogon tribe who put out many different lectures, talking about the nomos, how the nomos came to earth. They actually exist. They are a seafaring race. You have the master elder of the Zulu tribe known as Credo Mutwa. Mm-hmm. Basically saying the same thing. He's also, giving reference to the reptilians that live on the moon and that interfered with the creation of life on Earth. He broke that down. But the Zulu and the Dogon tribe know about the extraterrestrials that live in our oceans. I'm not too sure about the Asian cultures, but I know for a fact, that's where I first heard it, was from the Dogon and the Zulu.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. What do you think? Because I seen Red Pill, he commented the Xmas portal opening. People use, when we talk about Christmas on December 25th, right around the solstice. Some people say Christmas, some people say Xmas. Is there any relation between Christ consciousness, Christ energy, and the letter X? We always hear about the mysteries behind the letter X. We know Elon Musk, we just talked about him, changed his whole $1 billion company from Twitter to X. Is there any similarities between Christ consciousness and the letter X?
Well, that's a very, very good question, very good statement, because that is, you're definitely onto something, because the X is the 24th letter. 2 and 4 give you 6. And we know, 6 symbolizes the Venetian energy, which is connected to our earthly senses. All right. So, you talk about 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons. That gives us our physical matrix, this physical illusion. So, you talk about the X and then the X chromosome, right? In order for us to exist as humans on this earth, to have this human experience, everybody has to have that X chromosome. You see what I'm saying? The 2-4, right? The 24th letter of the alphabet, right? 2-4 gives you the value of the whole 6. Then one of the biggest news networks, Fox, FOX, F is the 6th letter, O is the 15th letter, X is the 24th. That's 6. Fox is 666. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Right. So the whole X, it can symbolize things that are unknown. It can symbolize things that are known as catch-22s. Things that may be considered taboo, but also highly beneficial, ruled by, the letter X. X is very, very interesting, the history and the creation of it. But from a numerical standpoint, I know it represents something low vibrational. And that's why, like you said, Elon Musk decided to make that move and change, the name from Twitter to X. And that's interesting, because we're in the year of 2024, and X is the 24th letter.
Mm. 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 Yeah. Yeah, definitely, family. It's something to definitely think about and to tap into. Oh man, this is a great show, y'all. I'm enjoying this show. I'm enjoying this show. I haven't been doing a lot of shows lately, RFG. So it feels good to be back on here, deep into
Okay.
this information, man. It feels good, man. I'm feeling good. uh,
Okay.
let's keep going with the questions. Let me get into another super chat question. We got Valerie. Valerie wants to know, how do we begin to discern between genuine UFOs and governmental crafts that are being used to harm the people, such as shapes, color, movement, etc.?
Well, one thing we have to be aware of is the extraterrestrials are already here. They're already underground. And if they wanted, most humans to be vanquished, I don't think it would have been hard. I don't think it would have been hard for them to do that. So, with that being said, we have to understand that we're being used for an energy source. The more we buy into their illusion of a monetary system, the more we buy into their monotheistic religions, the more we support their political systems, their miseducation systems, their entertainment systems, the more the more power we give them. The more we kill one another over skin color or skin complexion or political differences, religious differences. The more we kill, the more we kill one another, the more powerful we make these entities. So we have to understand that they exist, and their goal is to harvest as much energy from us as they can, and also to lower our frequency so we can stay reincarnating in this same realm.
Right.
Now, as it pertains to the UFOs, I believe that the triangle-shaped UFOs are reverse engineered from the disc-shaped UFOs. I believe the UFOs that are shaped like discs, most of the times those are being piloted by either the Greys or the Reptoids. But when you see the triangle, that is what the government, our own government, reverse engineered from examining the disc-shaped UFOs. So when we see the triangle-shaped UFO, I believe most of the time that's being piloted by a human.
Indeed. Right. But
I was also going to say the orbs. Your guess is good as mine. That could be something that is interdimensional. It could also be Project Bluebeam when you're dealing with the orb UFO.
Yeah. Indeed. Since we talked about X, I seen some people in the chat bring up rest in peace to DMX. They brought up DMX, Darkman X, and he used to always go like that. DMX used to always go like that. And
okay,
when we hear about our people dying, like when DMX died, he was on the front page of the paper with, I think, King Charles or something like that. They died on the same day. And we always hear in the conspiracy community or the cult community about when one of our greats die, the elite harvesting their energy. How does a high frequency person benefit when one of their people passes away or dies? Because we always hear about the evil ones benefiting from a melanated man or woman's energy. How does high frequency people benefit when a brother like DMX die? I mean, how does that benefit high frequency beings?
Well, the way to harness the most positive frequency from a situation like that is to look at everything a man like DMX stood for throughout his life. how he handled adversity, his most positive attributes, and then harness that energy and then apply it to your life. That's how you keep you keep his legacy alive, and you actually help raise his frequency, because more than likely he's still in this realm or a little bit above this realm, so that actually helps our ancestors that have passed on to the other side when we take the positive aspects of what we saw in them and utilize that in our own lives.
Indeed. All right, let's see this is a good one, right, y'all? This is a good one. Oh yeah, this is a good one, y'all. This brother be dropping every time he come on here. He be dropping some shit, y'all. Like, he be yeah, make sure y'all get a reading from him, because the brother he definitely tapped in. We're gonna do about 2 more questions, then we're gonna get out of here. Let's see. Let me see what's going on. Let me see if we got any more super chat questions. Somebody gave their birthday. They hungry. They said my birthday is. If we're not doing readings, fam, don't send 1,000 super chats and then get mad at me when I get off the air. But real quick, the brother said my birthday is 1/13/1999. It adds up to 33. Any advice?
Don't get too caught up in the whole numerology aspect, dealing with Gregorian time, because Gregorian time, we know that is not. It's not original at all. So we want to base our birthdays strictly off of how the stars and planets were positioned around the earth at the moment of our birth. When we start to talk about different numbers dealing with Gregorian time, especially the year. See, when you talk about Gregorian time, the month and the day is not that far off from our actual birthday. I believe it's only 3 days off. But the year, the Gregorian year, that is a fallacy. That is a complete fact. If you really believe that intelligent humans have only been on this earth for 2,024 years, man, something is wrong.
Indeed. I wanted to tell you something. So when I got the reading, my chart done by the sister, based on, like you said, where the stars were aligned, because I found out my time. So my birthday, right, is on September 17th. But they said This year, they said every year my birthday is on a different day, because that same alignment doesn't happen on September 17th. So I think this year they said my birthday was on October 10th. That's some wild shit to say you was born. I wish I could find the page. I got it on this thing, and I can't. If I find it, I'll read it to you. But they said since I was born, that day that I was born, with the moon, the sun, and everything was that made me a Virgo. This year, that exact same alignment occurs on October 10th. You never heard of that before? So you start.
I mean, did they give a name for the alignment?
Nah, I'm trying to. If I can find the page before we get out of here, I will. If I can find, we're gonna get to another question. I'm gonna look at it. If I can find a page, I will definitely let you know. If I can find a page, okay. I'm gonna look for a family. Let's see. Somebody said interview Samuel F. Reynolds for that. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna look into that. I'll look into that. Let's see. People. I'm trying to get to a question here. Somebody said ask him about the Obama movie, Leave the World Behind. No, we talked about that last year. We're not going to get into that right now. Okay, I like this one. Somebody said ask him about AI's influence on the UFO engineering. I like that question.
AI's influence on UFO engineering. Um,
Yeah, I really
well,
like.
AI's influence on UFO engineering. Now, when you say UFO engineering, are you talking about the actual construction of UFOs, or our perception of UFOs?
Elaborate on that. I don't want to give my opinion. Elaborate on that question, Ashton Hall. Elaborate on that question. Yeah, I assumed it was operation. This
Okay.
somebody said maybe operation. That's what I assumed it was. But I want to. Somebody said Ashton said the ones the from are you got to speak. Oh man, yeah, y'all got to get your grammar right. The ones the from our government. If your grammar's not right, family, it's
Oh,
hard to understand.
okay. So the one. Okay. So basically, so you're talking about the triangle shaped craft. So I believe that they have AI helping them create these crafts, but when it comes to the actual architecture and the actual plans, the engineering and the so-called floor plans on how they want their craft to be reverse engineered and how they want it to be designed, that's done by a human, but I definitely believe that they have AI robots that are actually building, the craft for them. Because a lot of these crafts, they're powered by energy sources that are extremely powerful, and a lot of people, or the people that are part of the black budget government, they don't want to take the risk of getting around something that can be considered hazardous or toxic. So, it would be much more beneficial in those situations to have robots or AI build certain crafts that have certain fuel sources, that may be considered hazardous in some situations. And I believe they have an army. They have whole armies of robots that are underground. And that's another thing that they're getting humanity used to, is the extraterrestrial thing and the whole AI robot agenda.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So let me read you this, brother. Let me read you this before we get. We're gonna do one more. We're gonna do one more question before we get out of here. But let me read this. I was talking about my what do you say, Vedic or Vedic? How do you pronounce it? Vedic. How do you pronounce it?
It could be Vedic or Vedic or Vedic.
All right. So let me read this because I was telling you about the astrological birthday. So it says. Hold up. Give me a second, y'all. And I forget the sister's name. I'm gonna eventually have on the show. It's Kalini or y'all said it before. The brother Anu Asaru, who was on my show. Who's the sister that he interviewed on her on his show? One of y'all know. It's 25, it's 2,600 people in here. The brother Anu Asari or Annie Asari. What's the brother name? And he has his sister that's on the show. Let me know in the chat so I could give them both their and I gotta get the brother on the show too.
Okay.
All right, but anyway, let me read this for you. All right. It says your astro. Now remember, I'm born on September 17th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kalini. Her name is Kalini. No, not Aquarius Maximus. Kalini. Kalini. Yeah, Kalini. Shout out to Kalini. Yeah. Shout out to Kalini. All right. So it says, remember, so I'm born September 17th, right? But it says here in the reading, it says your astrological birthday this year was September 21st, 2024 at 1:08 p.m. Your astrological birthday next year is October 10th, 2025 at 2:28 p.m. Then it says the astrological birth date represents your authentic Vedic birthday that occurs each year. It's formally known as your Tithi Pravisha, which signifies the precise moment when the sun and the moon enter the exact angular relationships they were at your time of birth. This annual event marks the beginning of a new astrological year for you and provides insights into the major themes and potential events to unfold in the coming year. This is your special day, a day that your body has its greatest potential to gain recharge. It's a day you should be in good spirits. It's your day with the most high. So take time for a cleansing, salt bath, or herb bath, fasting, meditation, pranayama, and affirm your goals and intentions for the upcoming year. Always remember, your personal calendar year begins with your TT Pravisha, known as your truest astrological birth moment. Unlike your solar return birth date, this date will fluctuate each year. The chart for that date will help identify the major themes that are likely to dominate your life during that specific year, making it a valuable tool for personal and spiritual growth. That is some interesting stuff right there. You ever heard of that?
I have, but I think it was a little different. Okay. But that I believe that's pretty accurate, because when you're dealing with the movement of any object, like let's say I have a baseball and I'm throwing a baseball 20 separate times. All of those times I threw the baseball, the movement, the trajectory, and the speed is not going to be the same on all of those trajectories. So it's the same thing when you talk about the movement of the earth. When the earth is moving through the solar system and it's moving around the sun, it's not going to move at the exact same speed every revolution. So that's what you said it's very accurate, because that's reality. You know, your birth, and see, that's the flaw with Gregorian time. Gregorian time is set in stone, but the universe and the movement of the cosmos doesn't work like that. You're going to have certain, revolutions that are slower. You're going to have certain revolutions that are faster. So when that happens, we could experience a birthday a few days before, the Gregorian date, or we could experience that astrological birthday a few days after the Gregorian birthday.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, this science is interesting, family. You can spend your whole life. You can spend lifetimes learning this thing here, y'all. So you got to be into this, family. Wait, I was gonna ask a question, but then I got super chat question. So I got to go to the super chat question. This is the last question, y'all. Peace, Brother Rich and RFG question. Have you seen Transformers 1 and Venom Last Dance to decode, or your thoughts on it?
I saw Transformers, the one that came out in 2007. Then I saw the one that came out in 2009. The one that was called Revenge of the Fallen. And then I saw a little bit of the third one, which was called The Dark Side of the Moon. Those were the only three I saw. I didn't see the later ones. And then the Venom movie, I saw the second half of the first Venom movie, but that was it. That was the only one that I ended up decoding.
Indeed. All right. This is really the last question. What are the benevolent UFOs here to do? We'll end it on that, family.
The benevolent UFOs, they are here to observe humanity and to see if humanity is going to evolve to the point to where we start to choose godhood and we choose our DNA and our soul evolution over capitalism. You see what I'm saying? That's what they're waiting for. They're trying to see, are these beings gonna kill each other and try to destroy their environment and just and die out as a species, or are they gonna put their differences aside and come together and really start to evolve? That's what the benevolent extraterrestrials are looking at and observing.
Indeed. Well, with that being said, my brother, I want to thank you once again for coming on the platform. Before you get out of here, one more time, brother, let the people know about your Instagram You got a book coming out soon, and everything you got going on, your readings. Let the people know about all that, brother.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on. And, you can reach me at RFG_chosen1, the number one on Instagram. If you want to see exclusive content, a lot of thought-provoking videos, you can subscribe to the Patreon account. That is patreon.com/RFG_chosen1, the number one. I also have a shipment of RFG and Atlantean shirts and hoodies that will be available spring of 2025. I have an ebook that will be out between, I want to say, mid-March to late March, looking at the release date around that time. And then, if you need a natal chart reading, if you're going through anything in your personal life, or you just have a question regarding the information that I teach, we can set up a scheduled consultation, and you can contact me on Instagram for that.
Indeed. Yeah, definitely make sure you hit the brother up for that powerful merch. And that shirt right there is hot. I like that. That's the RFG shirt, huh?
Yeah.
I
appreciate it.
Yeah, that's fire right there. With that being said, family, once again, while I still got y'all in here, tomorrow night, 9 p.m., Rod Hayes and Seven Bomar will be live together. It's going to be a movie tomorrow night. We're going to put on a show. We're going to have a good time. That show will be followed by Raul Neff, Our Men on Friday night. Y'all know the legend who he is. I don't have to say much else about that. Saturday is the workshop, the virtual workshop, cryptocurrency with Chicago Bitcoin Bully. Make sure you're signing up for that. So many perks, lifetime access to the workshop, lifetime Discord access. Bully just added that. I mean, it's going to be phenomenal. So I'm going to send out some Discord links tonight. If you signed up, I'm going to send it out tonight for those who didn't get it yet. Besides that, man, RFG, man, thanks a lot, my brother. I'm going to send you the information that I was talking to you about before the show started, so you can check it out. All right, I'm going to send that to you in a little while.
Okay.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Hey, with that being said, I will see all of you tomorrow. Peace, my brother. RFG, I'm going to see you next time, brother.
All right, thank you.
Peace, family.